Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to the final episode of True Myths, One Lie. I'm your host, Anthony Manella, and the way that the game works is 3 stories are going to be told, 2 of which are from people online that claim that these stories are true, and 1 that is completely made up. It is up to my guests and everyone at home to try and figure out which story is the lie. Today, before we get into our topic, who our guests are, I want to take a second to explain a little bit about what everyone's been asking me, why the series is ending. But first, we're going to take a quick little break.
What?
We will be right back. People don't always realize that physical symptoms like headaches, teeth grinding, and even digestive issues can be indicators of stress. And let's not forget about doom scrolling, sleeping too little, sleeping too much, undereating, and overeating. I, for one, am guilty of getting headaches, sleeping too little, and undereating, all from stress. It's pretty much a daily thing for me, and for some reason, every second that I spend not working or being productive in some sort of way, my brain tells me, hey, go do something, and it stresses me out so much to the point where I pretty much never get to relax. Stress shows up in all kinds of ways, and in a world that's telling you to do more, sleep less, and grind all the time, here's your reminder to take care of yourself, do less, and maybe try some therapy. I think that therapy is so important. It can help put your mind to rest and let you enjoy life a little more. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy. Give it a try and see if online therapy can help lower your stress. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and True Myths, One Lie with Culture 35 listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/culture35. That's BetterHelp.com/culture35. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. And we are back. Okay, so the question that everyone wants to know, why is the podcast ending? Truth of the matter is that from the start, this show was always planned to just be a one-year thing. We were gonna try something new, try something different for a year, see what happens, see how much people are enjoying watching it, see how many people are watching it, see how much we enjoy doing it, and if it became this amazing, spectacular thing, then we would continue it. It did not do that, and that is totally fine. We could have also just kept going just because we love doing it. However, the main reason that we wanted to do this podcast in the beginning was because so many people all the time are always asking us, hey, can you guys post more? Can you make more videos? I wish you would post more than once a week. And our comedy skits, as you guys know, they take a lot of work. They are not something that is super easy for us to make more than one of every single week. So we figured, how do we make more content in a week without making it be a skit? And we thought, hey, this podcast would be perfect. We just sit down for an hour once a week, we upload it, and then our audience gets extra content from us. What ended up happening is this show became a beast of its own, and no exaggeration, in the end, I feel like it takes just as long to produce one episode of this show as it does to make one of our skits every single week, and it's becoming just a lot to handle. From the research side of things, of trying to pick which topic to do, to searching for hours just to find 2 good stories. Sometimes you don't find anything and you have to start all over, and you have to start an entirely new topic, writing the fake story to make sure it blends in with the other ones, so on and so forth. All the editing, the cutting of the cameras, the music, the coloring, the processing time that it takes on my computer to render 4K 30-minute files is a lot. So it's better for us to let this rest and put our time back into the thing that we're truly passionate about, which is our comedy skits. And some good does come from this. With this open space, this show taught us how to manage 2 pieces of content a week, and we are going to post more often, comedy skit-wise. We're gonna start throwing in, there won't be like a set schedule, but maybe once a week, maybe once every other week, maybe once a month, who knows, depending on what we're able to do. We're gonna start posting extra mini culture quickies, I like to call them. For those of you who have been around for a while, you know what I'm talking about. We used to do them way back. They're too short to be a regular Friday skit, but they're too long to be a TikTok or a YouTube short. And so you guys are going to be getting more Culture 35, and who knows, the first one might be coming out tomorrow. With that being said, this is our final episode. I have invited pretty much every single person who was on the show to come back. If they're not here today, they simply couldn't make it. I literally reached out to all of them. And Some of them will also actually be on their way. They're coming. So for audio listeners, you don't know who's here yet, but the video viewers can obviously see everybody. So I've split them up into teams, and this time around, the way that we're gonna do is instead of every single person needing to come to the same conclusion, each team can pick a different number from each other. So one team could win, one team could lose. They could both win, they could both lose. We'll see what happens. So team number 1 is
yes! Here we are, team number 2.
Team 1.
We are team number 2.
Yeah.
Team number 1 is going down.
Okay, so team number 1, go ahead, introduce yourselves.
We're team number 2.
We're team number
You're team number 2.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess team number 2, introduce yourselves then.
Larry.
That's it.
And that's the whole team. Just Larry and the Larriettes. I'm Ryan.
Andrew.
And Zach.
And then team number 1.
Yeah, team number 2.
You want to introduce at the same time?
Austin.
Seth.
Okay, Austin and Seth, that was.
Jacob.
And we have 2 Jacobs on the other team.
This is also, I mean, if we had Larry, it would be more instead of Seth, but this is Team Gorgeous.
Okay, so team 1 is Team Gorgeous. Do you guys have a team name?
Team number 2.
Also, today's episode's a little bit different. Mini game is going to be at the very, very end.
Toph is here as well, because why wouldn't I be?
Our topic, we're bringing it all the way back to the demo episode that nobody has seen except for the people that were on it. We're talking all about ghosts.
Before we start this story, does anyone else on my team want to play Uno?
Deal me in. We would love to play Uno. Deal me in.
For audio listeners, Jacob is pulling out Uno.
Pull the board game.
And I think they're actually going to play. Yep, they're playing. They are playing Uno. Okay, so anyway, I am going to start the first story now. Story number 1. 15 years ago, a young woman was coming home from a camping trip with her family. They were on a vacation at a lake, and on their way back, they have this tradition every year when they take this trip to stop at a little Asian buffet. So that's exactly what they do. They stop at the buffet. The girl gets out of the car, and before ordering her food, she thinks, you know what, I am going to go to the bathroom first. So it's the kind of bathroom that's small enough that there's only 2 stalls in it. There's one regular stall and there's one handicap stall. The handicap stall was being vacated as the woman was entering the bathroom, so she goes in and she takes the regular size stall. She goes in there, she sits down, she hears the other woman exit. She can hear all the sounds of the restaurant come into the bathroom, and then it fades away as the door shuts. Then it opens again. Same thing happens. All the noise from the restaurant comes in, and as the door shuts, it slowly fades away. She hears the flipping around of 2 little sandals from a little girl, and she hears her giggling. The little girl goes into the stall next to her. From underneath the dividers in the stall, she can see her little white strappy sandals and her dirty little feet, and by the size of them, she looks to be maybe about 4, 5 years old. She closes the door behind her, she locks it, and she sees bleached blonde hair from underneath her divider, and she sees the little girl's hands come wrap around into the woman's stall. And the little girl is giggling, and the woman sees her. She doesn't get to see her face, but she starts laughing herself. She goes, hello. And then the hands slide away, and the hair disappears, and she sees her take steps backwards. Our main character here finishes up what she's doing. She exits the bathroom. She's going to wash her hands, and she realizes that for such a noisy, nosy little girl, there's no noise anymore. It is completely silent. So, much like the little girl, she gets curious. From the mirror, she can't see where the little girl's feet would be, but she can see through the crack of the door. So she leans over a little bit and peers through the crack, and she's able to see the toilet, but there is absolutely no one in there. So to make sure that everything's okay, she gets down and she peeks underneath the stall, and there's no one there at all. She stands up to try and open the stall, and it is locked. She was standing right by the doors. She would have seen this girl leave. She would have heard her. Absolutely nothing. So she goes out to the restaurant, and she looks around for the little girl, and she can't find her anywhere. She says to her parents, hey, did anyone come or go into the bathroom while I was in there? And they said, no, the door never opened or anything. And that is the end of story number 1. I'm going to give you guys some time to discuss. Go.
They both broke the sacred rule of the bathroom. You know, you go in, you do your business, and you leave. So she deserved that haunting.
Did she ask anybody if there was a little girl, if anybody else saw this little girl?
Only her parents.
To my team and only my team, shut your ears. Shut your ears, team one.
Oh, Andrew's trying to not help the other team, huh?
Cover my ears with
I
my
just
hat.
think it seems very like Reddit-like to say 15 years ago instead of giving a time frame. You know what I'm saying? Just between us.
Here's the first thing. This sounds a lot like the Pizza Hut bathroom story. Where there's a Pizza Hut nearby us that is haunted.
Oh, the doorbell has rang. Our special guests have arrived.
Pizza Hut's here.
Pizza Hut.
Thomas and Katie are here. It probably just cut and they magically are here now. But they're here now.
Hey.
Hi.
Personally, I think that there was a little too many weird details in the story for it to be the fake one. Like the long blonde hair, the little girl like reaching her hand underneath the stall. And I thought it was also just very strange that this woman, how old was this girl that was in there? Not the little girl,
We don't know.
the main character.
We don't know.
Because like I thought it was very strange that she decided to look through the stall and then look underneath the stall to look for this little girl. Kind of creepy.
Sus.
Story number 2.
Okay, before we get into story number 2, does anyone else want a Hot Pocket? I'm getting kind of hungry.
Well, just
No
ask
way.
our team.
Yeah.
That's what I was
way.
asking.
He brought Hot Pockets? They have egg, bacon, and cheese.
Egg, bacon, and cheese in a Hot Pocket?
Yeah.
Nowhere better you can put egg, bacon, and cheese?
Story number 2. A couple of weeks ago, at a family gathering, a young woman was reminded by her brother of a very scary event that they both shared when they were younger. It was a little something like this. When they were little, their parents had one room. It was at the end of a hallway, and then they had 2 rooms separate at the other end of the hallway. And the 2 little kids, the little boy and the little girl, they used to play this game where they would knock the beat or the tune to one of their favorite songs. One of them would knock and the other one would have to knock back. It was usually something from one of their favorite television shows, or it was something like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Something simple like that. One night in the middle of the night, the little girl hears a knock coming from her closet. She wakes up and she's a little bit freaked out by this. She runs into her parents' room. She gets her father and she's like, Dad, I think I heard something. She brings him back. He goes into the room. He opens up the closet and they don't see anything. Of course, she kind of forgets about it. She goes back to bed. Next day, nothing out of the ordinary. The next night, however, she goes to play her little game with her brother. She knocks Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star on the wall. And instead of the response coming from her brother from the other room, she hears it coming from the closet. This horrifies her. She freaks out. She starts screaming and crying, runs into her parents' room. She wakes them up, tells them what happened. Her father comes in. They open the closet doors. But this time, when they open the closet doors, she swears that she feels this cold breeze of air go by her, and she gets this immense sense of dread. But there was nothing in the closet. However, she's so freaked out, she begs her parents, please let me sleep in your room for tonight. So that's exactly what she does. The next morning, her brother says to her, hey, I thought that you went and slept in Mom and Dad's room last night. And she says, yeah, I did. She confirms that that was true. She explains the thing with the closet. His eyes widen and he says, then who was I playing our game with last night? I heard a knock on the wall and I started playing. And I played back and forth for several minutes before I stopped getting a response. I figured that you just came back to your room. So after she heard this, they both went into her room, and on the wall, they saw these dusty little handprints that she swore were not there before. And that is the end of story number 2. I'm gonna give you guys some time to discuss. Go.
This story was very entertaining and creepy that it feels like it was written. And there's some things about it. When it was said like his eyes widen, all those kinds of details doesn't sound like someone writing this story out on Reddit. It sounds like someone writing this story for the episode.
I feel like I've heard a story similar to this before. So I'm very skeptical that this possibly could be the written one.
Okay.
I have a few questions that I want to clarify. So this is ghost stories, just because I was wondering, like, it was an immense sense of dread. It wasn't like an intense smell of bread. And then maybe was it dust on the walls, or could it have been like breadcrumbs? Is it the Muffin Man? That's the question.
Oh, you bring up a good point. I don't have the answer.
Okay.
But then the knocking would be the Muffin Man song. It wouldn't be Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Seth, good point.
That's fair.
It looks like our food is here.
Yeah.
Jacob has returned with Hot Pockets.
Can we
Anyway,
get ASMR on his footsteps?
Well, it definitely sounds like a few movies that are supposed to be true. With the knocking. So I'm kind of on the fence with this one because it can and it can't be, but I'm more prone for this story than the first one.
So I have a question for Seth. How was the Hot Pocket?
I'm enjoying it.
All right, Seth is enjoying his Hot Pocket.
I just want to say this story's fake.
okay. Zach, any thoughts on the story here?
Oh, right. Yeah, it sounds like, like knocking, with no one being there is like a very common like ghost trope. These things seem to happen to kids more. So I guess that's why the writer, real or fake, harkened back to the childhood experience. So yeah, that's what I got on that.
Yeah, I agree with my team. I'm skeptical of whoever wrote this, for sure.
We are going to take a quick little break.
What?
We will be right
What?
back. People don't always realize that physical symptoms like headaches, teeth grinding, and even digestive issues can be indicators of stress. And let's not forget about doom scrolling, sleeping too little, sleeping too much, undereating, and overeating. I, for one, am guilty of getting headaches, sleeping too little, and undereating, all from stress. It's pretty much a daily thing for me, and for some reason, every second that I spend not working or being productive in some sort of way, my brain tells me, hey, go do something, and it stresses me out so much to the point where I never really get to relax. Stress shows up in all kinds of ways, and in a world that's telling you to do more, sleep less, and grind all the time, here's your reminder to take care of yourself, do less, and maybe try some therapy. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy, and I personally think that therapy is so important. It can help put your mind to rest and let you enjoy life a little bit more. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy. Give it a try and see if online therapy can help lower your stress. True Myths One Lie with Culture 35 listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/culture35. That's BetterHelp.com/culture35. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. And we are back.
Anyways, don't make the Hot Pockets like that again.
I'll make them like that every time.
Okay, are you guys ready to hear story number 3?
Yes.
Story number 3. In 1999, there was a young boy who had a very strict curfew. And this was a problem for him because he absolutely loved staying up late and playing video games. There was nothing in the world that he loved doing more. And on one particular night, he sneaks out past his bedtime. As he does somewhat often, he goes down to his basement because that's where his video game console is located, and he starts playing some games. Now, the basement has about a ground level window down there, and while he's playing, he hears a thud coming from the window. He looks over, and he sees this red, hairy hand and this creature that has discolored eyes, a misshapen nose, and a really creepy smile. This thing is staring right back at him. So the kid screams. He starts yelling. And lo and behold, the dad runs down the stairs with a shotgun. And the dad yells, "He's too young. He doesn't need this yet." And he sprints outside. He fires a few shots. And that's that. Now, about 10 years goes by. It's now 2008. He did start having some really creepy dreams. These dreams included this thing in them. One particularly horrifying dream that he had, he sees this thing sitting in his dad's shop and it's pointing down. The dreams reoccur for a while. Eventually, they stop, they go away. One day, the boy is in school and he gets a call, and the call says, "We found your father. He killed himself, and he's hanging from the rafters in his shop. The funeral comes and goes. Some time passes by. He's talking to his grandmother, and his grandmother tells him the truth about why this happened. She says that all of the men in this family, only the men can see it, they've been haunted by the spirit of this creature for many, many years. Some of the men go their entire lives being haunted by this thing, and others, they succumb to its madness and they can't take it anymore. It can haunt them in real life and also in their dreams. This curse has been on their family for generations since they came to America. And that is the end of story number 3. I'm going to give you guys some time to discuss. Go.
Can I just compliment the story? I thought that was really cool. Lovecraftian then.
It gave me very Turning Red vibes.
Red panda vibes.
Red creature that has that cursed the family for generations.
No, Ryan, I disagree with that.
I'm very, very skeptical of this for multiple reasons. Mostly because the structure of that house is extremely familiar to me personally and maybe anyone else who lived in that house growing up. And that's exactly where my video game console was and exactly what we used to do when we were younger.
Yeah, and you'd get haunted by red guys too, right?
One time.
Can I comment real quick? Because I lived in the same house and I was getting those same feelings. And it was like a dark, dungy basement that we used to sneak down at night, and our dad would get mad and run down and yell at us. And we had one of those weird windows that were ground level. So I'm also extremely skeptical.
Extremely skeptical.
This story just reminds me of an episode. I believe Zach was on it with Toph and I. In the episode, I think there was a kid playing video games in the basement, was there not? And then there was like a mirror, and then somebody got trapped in the mirror, and the kid ran outside and he smashed the mirror with a sledgehammer, right? If I'm not mistaken. And then it's literally the exact same setup. Like the kid refused to go in the basement after that. He was so scared he wouldn't play his video games anymore. It's like the exact same thing. And I think that was a fake one.
I'm pretty skeptical about this one, especially after Andrew made his explanation. It's a lot of detail, I feel like way too much detail compared to the first 2 stories.
I was going to ask more detail in the first because I missed it, so I didn't get to hear all the detail.
Way more than the first.
Yeah, and just to elaborate on that, the one detail that stuck out to me that makes it different from the other stories is that we actually saw the monster. Right, we had a description of its eyes and its nose or lack thereof and its smile, whereas the other ghosts were more like true ghosts. The entity that we saw in the 3rd story just here, it sounded more like a demon, right, than a ghost. I mean, a little girl, she might have died and come back as a ghost. Like that's very plausible. But like, what is this thing? Like, and why is it haunting their family through generations?
Only the men.
Only the men, Ghosts are often tied to like a property or something like that, but this is tied to a specific family. So that strikes me more as like a demonic possession than it does as like a ghost story.
Okay, so I am going to give recaps of all 3 stories.
I will too.
Let you guys... Seth's final opportunity to recap the stories.
Can Jacob recap the second one?
Yeah.
Jacob should recap the second one.
You know what? I'm going to recuse myself to my teammate to recap all 3 stories.
Story number 1 was about a woman who's coming back with her family from a camping trip. She goes to the bathroom and she goes into the stall. She hears a little girl in her little sandals get into the stall. She goes to wash her hands. She looks through the crack of the door and she doesn't see anything anymore. She peeks under it and the girl's completely gone.
It's basically a woman went into an Asian restaurant and had the typical Asian bathroom experience for that restaurant.
Story number 2, at a family gathering, a woman is reminded of something that happened when her and her brother were children. They used to play this game where they would knock on each other's wall and they would have to finish the song from the other person's room. She hears knocking coming from her closet. There's nothing in there. It happens again the next night. She leaves. She goes to her parents' room. She feels this cold brush of air in the closet. The boy is playing with literally no one. They go into her room and they find these dusty handprints on the wall.
I didn't listen to that either. So basically there's this show I watch and there was a guy who had an imaginary friend and he had to give him up to a foster home. It was really sad, but it was a cool show.
That's a good show.
That was a very good recap of story number 2. Thank you, Jacob. And story number 3 was about a boy with a strict curfew. He sneaks down one night to play his video games. He sees a creepy thing in the window. It's got this weird grin, red hairy hand. The dad comes running down with a gun. He fires. The boy starts having some nightmares about this thing. It goes away. One day he gets a call that his dad was found dead in the rafters. His grandmother tells him that this is a curse that was placed on his family, and it's been haunting them for generations. Those are your 3 stories.
Excuse me. A very handsome and well-dressed man completely ripped off the story of turning red.
Oh, I get it.
Those are your 3 stories. Go.
I would just like to say that's an incredibly scary thought. You know what I mean? Because like I was a pretty scared kid. So like imagine like you're like, oh my God, I'm a little too scared to go downstairs to play video games, but I'm gonna do it. And you go and do it, and you get down there, and there's just literally a red demon down there, and then you're like, oh, well, I'm never gonna do this again. And then 9 years later, your grandma's like, oh yeah, that demon kind of killed your father, and he's real. It's like, like that's horrifying.
No, it's not. He's real. He's gonna be haunting you for the rest of
and
your
you're next, and whoever comes after you, like that's crazy.
We have a lot of suspicion about story number 2.
We can't help but have a lot of thoughts about story number 3, though, which we're narrowed it down to basically those 2.
All right, and let me hear thoughts from Team Gorgeous.
We're gonna flock in story number 1.
You're gonna flock in.
Yeah.
What just happened?
I don't know.
What just happened? Wait, is this serious or is this
Flock
part of the
in story
I don't
prank?
get why you guys are so. You guys can take the same story as us. There's nothing really surprising about this. We just chose a story.
Yes. No. So
Yeah.
you.
No, not you. Them. They're so excited about it. I don't know why.
Because we wanted to pick story number 1.
Now we're trying to bait us.
We said we were deliberating between 2 and 3, and yes, that was a complete lie. We were deliberating between 1 and 2, but leaning towards 1. And I think that if our safest bet would be to lock in story 1, because personally, I'd feel terrible if they win and we lose.
Absolutely. That's 100%. Yes, I feel exactly the same way.
So they locked in 1?
Yes.
All right, then we're gonna lock in 1.
We're gonna lock in 1.
So everyone has locked in story number 1. Okay, guys, and the answer will be revealed right after we do our ending mini game. What we're gonna do today, instead of playing a game for the final episode, we are giving out awards.
Sorry.
We're not playing sorry, no. So we are going to be giving out awards to everybody, all of the guests who have played True Myths Will Lie. I am actually going to have my good friend over here, Tom Heinlein, read off all of the awards for us. Tom, take it away.
Our first award is gonna go to my good friend here, Anthony Manella, and he is gonna win the 1 million subscribers award.
Tom, I don't have a million yet. We didn't get there. We're not even close, actually.
Andrew is gonna win the best streaker award. Now let me explain this one for you.
For audio listeners, Andrew just stripped his clothes off.
That's the primary reason why you win this award. The second reason is because you also have the longest winning streak and the longest losing streak on the podcast.
Thank you.
The MVP and LVP, so the most valuable player and least valuable player award goes to Toph. Woo!
Thank you, Tom.
Toph has the most wins and the most losses on the podcast.
The most appearances. Thank you.
The True Myths One Lie Public Enemy number 2 award goes to Ryan McCauley.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
The Creepiest Family Lineage award goes to Seth.
And Jacob.
Jacob gets his own award.
Oh, Jacob, what? You're not part of my family anymore.
Austin, you have won the most likely to win in a fight if you can get there award.
Wait, Austin, how did you get here?
Jacob, tonight you have won the Slug Award, and I'd like to give you this opportunity to talk about your charity of choice.
Well, it's not my charity. I just help volunteer. He actually owns the charity. It's called Slug. I have no idea what they do. I just show up and do what Seth tells me to do.
Zach, I am proud to announce and also sad to announce that you will be winning the least likely to get a single win award.
That's based on the data. Yes. Thank you so much. I've wanted this whole time.
Larry, today you win the Apparently Contracts Don't Matter award because you skipped out on an episode I was on. We could have been teammates again.
Anthony didn't include me in that one.
Hold on.
That is not true, actually.
That was the episode that I hosted, and we asked you if you wanted to be in it, and you said no. And I was
You did say no.
personally offended.
I have no recollection of that.
Katie Heinlein wins the Unfair Advantage Award, and it's because she's playing with two brains.
Okay, guys, the answer is story number 2.
I knew it.
I told you guys it was story number 2.
I genuinely thought it was 2, but I'm on a team of 5.
My whole joke was going to be I was going to leave and then pick story number 2, but it was a team effort, so I couldn't.
That just about wraps up True Myths, One Lie. I need to just say thank you to everyone who's been watching and supporting the show. The show would have been nothing without you guys. Thank you so much. I need to say thank you to everyone who was a guest on the show, which is literally every single person here, and a couple of people who were unfortunately not able to make it today. I want to say thank you to anyone who gave me a break for a week and guest hosted. Austin, Ryan, Tom. Was that all? Oh, and you, Seth. You were the first one. Yeah.
Forgettable.
I'm sorry. You're right.
It was just so long ago.
I'm gonna thank anyone who has helped me write episodes. Austin, Seth.
And that's it.
I want to thank Bob for preparing an episode for me. But most importantly, I need to say thank you to the person sitting to my left,
Katie.
because
Left.
I guess from the camera's point of view, it's Katie.
You're so welcome. I don't know why.
But seriously, I need to say thank you to Tom, because literally this show would have ended at like episode 17 or something if it wasn't for him. He's been helping me behind the scenes, pick topics, write the stories, research the stories, find the real ones, and it couldn't have continued without you. That's why Tom gets the his award is Best Host, Writer, Guest, Overall Contributor to the Podcast.
Thank you. I humbly accept the award that I wrote for myself. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys for watching and listening. We'll see you guys again very soon. Bye, guys. And that's a wrap.